They called the police on us. They called four police departments on us, a group of 20-year-old college students. They called the police departments from Claremont, from Pomona, from Azusa, and Laverne. There are 30 police officers in full riot gear. I believe there are 16 police cars lining up the streets of next to our academic buildings where we had classes. My name is Diane Truong. I'm 21 years old and I'm a senior at Pomona College. We have been creating a series of peaceful protests and vigils. Primarily, we've mostly created vigils on our Pomona College and Claremont College's campus in honor of the innocent Palestinians who are victims to genocide of US and Israeli occupation and army. And every single one of those vigils has been dismantled with items put up such as flowers, teddy bears, notes handwritten by students, prayers. These were all very peaceful and loving community spaces that students would gather in, would have prayer in. And so our mock apartheid wall was a continued desire to have a permanent vigil and community space after so many of them had been taken down and swept by the administration. And so following the unexpected takedown of the mock apartheid art wall, a group of us as peaceful protesters, around 19 of us, decided to calmly and peacefully walk inside Alexander Hall and simply sit inside the president's office. The purpose of so was to have our demands be met, have our demands for the end of the school's profit, the school's investment in the genocide of Palestine. And so they called the police on us. They called four police departments on us, a group of 20-year-old college students. They called the police departments from Claremont, from Pomona, from Azusa, and Laverne. There are 30 police officers in full riot gear. I believe there are 16 police cars lining up the streets of next to our academic buildings where we had classes. And the police had these really large weapons and batons on them. They arrested us. Close friends of mine were kicked and shoved and elbowed, and especially Black, Indigenous, brown, and disabled students were mistreated, not only by campus security, but also by the police department and Claremont PD while we were held in custody. And so I was planning to graduate in a month, and currently I have been interim suspended by the school, which means that while I was in jail before my mugshot was taken, the campus security, Mike Callahan, he handed papers for my suspension he was allowed to walk in and out of the Claremont Police Department while I was being held in custody and ask for the other students' personal information. So as we were held in police custody, it was like we were being held for suspension. We were being held by Pomona College in jail. So immediately I was cut off from my access to housing, to food, to medication, to emotional support animal, to therapy, to healthcare. So I had been immediately displaced and punished by the institution for my participation in a peaceful protest. You know, when you think of Pomona College, when you think of its reputation, you think of it as a sort of paradise in sunny Southern California. Pomona College presents itself as like a sunny paradise where liberal arts college students have the opportunity to learn and collaborate and engage in thoughtful discussion. And instead of divesting from Israeli apartheid in Palestine, they decided to arrest 19 students who were peacefully protesting. And so the mock apartheid wall and the various vigils that we've had out of respect and out of mourning and grief for the thousands of Palestinians that were being murdered with the money of Pomona College was bringing to the face, bringing to reality the murder and the blood that the murder, the blood, the imperialism, the capitalism that fuels the reputation, that fuels this facade of Pomona College as a sunny paradise in Southern California. So for me personally, I come from a Vietnamese background. And, as someone whose family was displaced by the Vietnam War, where the US dropped millions of tons of chemical weapons onto innocent people in Vietnam, as an act of US imperialism. This, for me, it mirrors what my direct ancestry with the Vietnamese people have gone through. And I know that there's been a history of college student activism in America where American college students would advocate for peace, for the end of the war in Vietnam, for the end of militarization in Vietnam. And so this is just a direct parallel for me. And it feels like just like I'm just one person, and this is a continued responsibility that so many of us as students across many universities across the country, and not only in America. Like, obviously, this is a global issue. All eyes are on Palestine. And yes, this is following the legacy of protests for the end of South African apartheid, protests for the end of the Vietnam War, and the occupation of Gaza is simply our generation's responsibility.